Hey everybody and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to do a really quick side-by-side comparison of the Lor Barista and the Nespresso Vertuo Next machines. Now, the first thing to note with these two machines, and part of the reason I'm doing the side-by-side, is both of them are capable of brewing espresso as well as coffee in a couple of different sizes. So jumping up first for the high-level overview and general usage. So the Nespresso Vertuo Next has a couple of different pod sizes. So you have the more traditional espresso pods, then you have the traditional coffee, and then you have the larger coffee option. Now these, if I'm not mistaken, are basically driven by these barcodes on the bottom. So the general idea is you turn it on, it heats up, doesn't take very long at all. You slide this, open it, drop your pod right here, press it closed firmly, lock it, hit the button, and it brews. There's no other options, no other buttons. Everything is driven by this single button here. Now, this is where I like the Lor machine. So I'll put a link to my original Vertuo Next review in the description. But the Lor Barista, what I like about it is up top here, we have 4 buttons. We have the power button and then 3 sizes. So our small, medium, large for our different drinks. Now for the Lor, you have a couple of different options. So this is, I believe, a welcome pack, maybe not, I'm not sure. But general idea is you can see the different sizes that are here. Now that is in addition to the ability to choose the sizes at the top, which I really like. So I guess what I would say is my point would go to Lor as far as general ability to customize at a very small amount. So I don't like with Nespresso, you can't choose, for example, if you want a larger cup or smaller cup, but you can with Keurig's and the Lor machine. So that's one difference between the two there. Now, with the actual usage of the Lor, this is pretty straightforward. You'll see when you lift this up, we have a couple of things to note here about the different options, but basically you just insert your cup right here and then press it down and select your size. So that one's pretty straightforward as well. So I would say overall, as far as ease of use, they're both pretty straightforward. So I would say it's an even tie between the two. Neither one seems to be much more complicated or difficult to use than the other. And when both of them are opened all the way, they take up a similar amount of space, although the Lor is a little bit higher, but not by much. Now, what we can do is go into build quality. So right now I would say Lor is in the lead because the Lor brand just has a little bit more to it as far as customization. Now going into the actual build quality. This is where the Nespresso, it really just runs circles around the Lor in my opinion. So with an espresso machine, it's simple and straightforward. We have this very small piece here, solid weight, it's metal, 2 pieces, easy to assemble. Put your mug on it, that's all that there is to it. So you put your mug on, and then you can choose between 3 different locations based on your drink or your cup size. The Vertuo, when you put a little bit of pressure on the side, doesn't have a wobble to it or anything. And when you squeeze around it, there's almost no give at all. So it just feels solid and it has a really healthy weight to it. Going to the Lor machine, I wish I could say the same, but I can't. So when you squeeze around it, there's a little bit of give. It's not super noticeable, but my main concern is with the Nespresso machine, when you take this off, that's basically all there is to it. There's a basket in the side for your used pods, which if we lift it up, it just comes out right here and you can pull it out and put it back in. With the Lor machine, part of my concern is pieces like this right here, which you install when you first get it. I'm sure this is mainly just for cleaning purposes, but it just doesn't feel like it locks in. With the Nespresso machine, for example, as you can see this lock, it gets harder as you're actually locking it into place. It just feels secure. With the Lor, there's just a little bit too much play. And you can see if I move it right here, the water tank in the back is also moving. And it just doesn't seem as intuitive. So for example, this piece here for your cup, but it's not adjustable like this was. The next thing to note is this also comes out, but then we also have another piece here. So when I was trying to put everything together, it's just easy to drop everything and it just doesn't have that premium feel. It just feels cheaper. So that's really all there is to that. And then the other thing to note is the coffee piece here directly blocks the drawer. If you want to pull this out, you can't actually pull it out all the way. So basically, if you want to get rid of all the pods when they are dispensed into the drawer, you pretty much just have to pull everything out because there's not an easy way to go about doing that. So right here, again, it's just stuck. I don't know why you wouldn't just be able to pull this open without having to essentially pull it all apart. So enough on that. Again, it's a minor-ish concern. Now, the Lor does have a 2-year warranty, so I guess that is one thing that's really, really nice, especially when you consider some of the moving parts like the inside. This piece here moves quite a bit, so with heavy use, I would just have a couple concerns there. So I would say for build quality, we would go with the Nespresso. So right now, I would say we're tied, a point for both, and then a tied option, so 1.5 points on both sides. Now, I'm not going to do a review of the actual taste for a couple of reasons. Firstly, both of these will brew your coffee pretty quickly. If you're someone who wants to wake up, hit the power button, wait 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds, drop a pod in, hit brew, and have your coffee, both of these are going to do that. Now, where I think the Lor really shines and wins as far as general usability is the fact that you can use not only the original Nespresso pods, which are substantially cheaper, but you can also brew coffee and espresso. So the general benefit for me for the Lor is it's a huge cost savings. So my understanding, which I'm not 100% sure of on this, but my understanding is the Vertuo pods, I believe Nespresso has a patent or something on them. So basically you can buy the Nespresso brand or Starbucks because I believe they have some kind of a collaboration. But for Lor, you can buy the Lor brand, which are very, very affordable. But you also have the option to buy the original Nespresso pods, and there are a couple of other options out there as well, as far as the Nespresso pod sizes, so there are different brands you can try. So my general point here is from a cost savings perspective, the Lor is going to be substantially cheaper as far as general usage because the pods themselves are much, much cheaper, but you also have different options. With the Vertuo, if you don't like most of the coffees because there is a more limited variety, you're kind of stuck with it. Versus with the Lor, you can try different brands and things like that. Now, my final thoughts and notes between the two is overall, both are solid machines. They'll both have their own warranties, which you can check on their websites. This, from what I checked, had a 2-year warranty, but I don't know if that changes for different products. So the general idea here is I've purchased both of these myself. I'm not sponsored by either of the companies. I will put a referral link for the Lor in the description, but that's just to help me get a discount on pods. The main thought between the two is, in my opinion, from a cost perspective, I think the Lor is the better option. But if you have the money for the extra pods and you really prefer the Nespresso brand coffees, this might be a better option, especially if we get to a point where Nespresso opens up the ability for other companies to use the Vertuo pods as well. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below, and I'll see you all in the next video.